Headlines of VTV News. Prime Minister encourages the development of high-tech defense industry. Tiền Giang province actively supplies clean water to households. And later on in our world news, Israel says date for ground attack on Rafah set.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with Melina Pham. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính worked with the Military Industry Telecommunications Group, or Viettel, on the T09 program and high-tech defense industry research and production activities. Also attending was General Phan Văn Giang, Politburo member, Minister of National Defense. Chairman and General Director of Viettel Group reported to the Prime Minister that Viettel has mastered the system design, system integration, and core technologies of some high-tech defense products, successfully produced and delivered a number of strategic products for the military. On behalf of the party and state leaders, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính acknowledged the results achieved by the People's Army and Viettel in recent times. The Prime Minister requested Viettel to focus on three pioneers, which are pioneering innovation, especially high-tech science and chip production for national defense and security, pioneering in thinking, and pioneering in combating corruption and negativity. Continuing the activities during his official visit to China on the morning of April the 9th, Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ met with Chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference Wang Huning. The two sides agreed to deepen cooperation between the Vietnam Fatherland Front and the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, enhance the exchange of experiences to best promote the role of each organization, especially the role of political participation, political consultation, and policy advice of scholars and intellectuals. The National Assembly chairman proposed that the two sides continue to regularly maintain high-level exchanges and contacts, promote trade cooperation in a balanced and sustainable direction. The two sides should promote people-to-people exchange activities such as the Youth Festival, People's Forum, and exchanges between members of the Vietnam Fatherland Front and the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. The ASEAN Plus 3 region is predicted to grow by 4.5% this year, an increase from 4.3% in 2023, and expand by 4.2% in 2025, as stated in a recent report. The report, the ASEAN Plus 3 Regional Economic Outlook, or AREO 2024, released by the ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office, or AMRO, suggests that an anticipated turnaround in exports, partly due to the global chip cycle, along with the ongoing recovery of tourism, will provide additional support to this growth.
AMROS predicts that the ASEAN 3 region, which includes 10 ASEAN countries, China, South Korea, and Japan, will grow at a rate of 4.5% this year. This is a slight increase from the 4.3% growth in 2023. As per AMRO, the primary growth catalyst is the ASEAN region. Here, the GDP rate is expected to reach 4.8% this year, a substantial rise from last year's 4.2%. Vietnam's growth is projected at 6% this year, placing it third in the ASEAN region, following Cambodia and the Philippines.
Vietnam is a very attractive country for investment. It has attracted a lot of FDIs, and also countries that are reconfiguring or shifting the supply chain from China. Many of them go to Vietnam, including the Chinese investment themselves. Many of them are shifting the labor-intensive industries to Vietnam.
However, AMRO's report highlights the risk of a slowdown in growth in the region, stemming from three fundamental challenges: an aging population, global trade restructuring, and rapid technological changes, including the development of artificial intelligence.
Vietnam's skilled workforce is a significant draw for European investors, as highlighted in the Business Confidence Index survey conducted by the European Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam, or EuroCham. According to the survey, 75% of EuroCham member businesses employ more than 3/4 of their workforce locally. This is a significant improvement from the previous survey conducted in the last quarter of the previous year, where only 24% of businesses were satisfied and 40% considered Vietnamese labor skills to be average. European businesses expressed optimism about Vietnam's economy in both the short and long term. 2/3 were positive about the prospects over the next 5 years. Cinnamon is a crucial crop for poverty reduction in various parts of Vietnam. Since 2021, Vietnam has emerged as the world's leading cinnamon exporter. It is projected that by 2023, Vietnam will hold about 34.4% of the global cinnamon trade market share. The main consumers of Vietnamese cinnamon are India, China, Bangladesh, and the US. However, since late last year, hundreds of tons of cinnamon essential oil have remained unsold. According to the Vietnam Pepper and Spice Association, about 100 tons of cinnamon essential oil are currently stored in the raw material regions of Lao Cai and Yên Bai provinces, unable to be exported. They estimate that by the end of the spring cinnamon crop, which marks the close of the past 4 years, there will be an additional 400 tons in inventory. Over 80% of spice plants worldwide are used for food, with only 20% going into high-end cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, or healthcare products. Vietnam primarily exports its products for food production due to challenges in developing high-end essential oil products. As a result, the Vietnam Pepper and Spice Association suggests classifying cinnamon essential oil as a food group.
Vietnam primarily exports cinnamon essential oil in its raw form. Consequently, when it's exported, the product is further processed for various uses in foreign countries. Therefore, applying a single code for medicinal herbs, as is currently done, poses challenges for businesses exporting cinnamon essential oil.
We propose to the General Department of Customs to permit businesses to declare essential oil products for export purposes. We also request that the Ministry of Health amend Circular 48, aiming to remove cinnamon essential oil products from the list of medicinal herbs.
Previously, pepper products also encountered similar problems when included in the list of medicinal products. However, after the Ministry of Health amended the circular to remove it from the list of medicinal products under the specialized management of the Ministry of Health, exporting to foreign countries became much easier. Therefore, the Vietnam Pepper and Spice Association recommends that the Ministry of Health consider removing cinnamon essential oil from the list of medicinal products to create favorable conditions for exporting this product.
We continue to recommend that Circular 48 and Circular 03 need to be reviewed and adjusted. If cinnamon essential oil is classified under the food branch, it will not be under the management of the Ministry of Health, making it easier to export. We hope that the Ministry of Health will discuss further with Customs.
Not just cinnamon essential oil, but also essential oil products extracted from spice plants, such as lemon, ginger, and pepper, must adhere to pharmacy law provisions under this current mechanism. Given the issues and overlaps in state management, a review and adjustment are necessary. This will ensure that production industries in the essential oil segment can export to foreign countries.
The Vietnam Textile and Apparel Association reported a 10 to 15% increase in exports during the first quarter compared to the same period last year. Many businesses have orders lined up for the second and third quarters. Customs data revealed that the export turnover for the entire textile industry exceeded $9.53 billion in the first quarter, which is a 9.62% increase compared to the same period last year. The market has shown positive signs, with orders increasing again over the same period. This has helped textile and garment businesses begin to recover and has provided jobs for millions of workers. The goal is to increase this year's export turnover to $44 billion is achievable. Since the beginning of the year, global textile and garment manufacturers and supply chains have continued to select Vietnam as their production site. By the end of March, credit growth had rebounded to over 0.6% following 2 months of negative growth. Many commercial banks predict that the pace of capital injection into the economy will maintain its positive trajectory into the second quarter of this year. Numerous banks are creating credit packages with competitive interest rates, particularly for businesses in the agriculture, export, and green credit sectors. The interest rate for businesses ranges from 4 to 6% per year, while for individual customers it ranges from 6 to 8% per year. These packages also offer incentives such as a fixed interest rate for the first 2 to 2 years or an interest-free first month. However, for credit growth to continue its upward trend, the key lies in implementing strategies to stimulate capital demand. And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam Đồng is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, Tiền Giang province actively supplies clean water to households. And female soldiers contribute to historic Điện Biên Phủ victory. The Mekong Delta is currently experiencing peak heat, leading to more severe saltwater intrusion. Saltwater intrusion in the Mekong Delta is forecast to increase until April the 11th. The intrusion can reach up to 75 to 90 kilometers deep in the Vam Co River system, with a salinity level of 4 grams per liter. In the Cửa Tiểu, Cửa Đại, Hàm Luông, Cổ Chiên, Hậu, and Cái Lớn rivers, the range of saltwater intrusion is about 40 to 60 kilometers. To ensure sufficient domestic water sources, localities should prioritize transporting and providing enough clean water to households. This will help them get through this period of drought and water shortage. In the Mekong Delta, salinity concentration currently remains at a high level, and the area is consistently affected by widespread drought and salinity intrusion. Therefore, localities are proactively implementing various solutions, including sharing clean water sources, to ensure people have enough water for daily use.
Recently, many residents of Gia Thuận Commune, Gò Công Đông District, Tiền Giang Province have been able to access clean water for free thanks to the generosity of sponsors.
I received a charity truck and pumped clean water for everyone to share.
Currently, several water ponds, including Gia Thuận, Bình Tân, and Gia Bình in the eastern part of Tiền Giang, have dried up. This has resulted in the water shortages of about 25,000 cubic meters per day. To address this problem, the Đồng Tâm water plant has activated 6 backup wells and connected water pipelines from Mỹ Tho to the drought and saline intrusion affected areas. Consequently, more than 100 public water taps has been opened. Additionally, the local government has arranged for tankers to transport water to locations that the pipeline cannot reach.
Tiền Giang has invested in a specialized water plant to bring water to the province, but the pumping system is not synchronized. Additionally, we suffer from a severe water shortage every year.
The coastal area of Tiền Giang province experiences a shortage of water resources annually. Given the sparse population, investing in clean water system proves ineffective. As a result, the province plans to reorganize residential areas more densely and further invest in infrastructure to enhance the quality of life.
Provincial and city hospitals in Vietnam now have the ability to evaluate and diagnose brain death. This development opens up more opportunities for patients awaiting organ transplants. This information was confirmed by the National Coordinating Center for Human Organ Transplantation at a recent press conference discussing multiple organ transplants from brain-dead patients at provincial hospitals.
On April the 2nd, Uông Bí Vietnam Sweden Hospital became the first provincial hospital to successfully conduct a case of multi-organ harvesting from a brain-dead donor. Hospital representatives indicate challenges in the process of diagnosing and evaluating brain death. Although the process has developed more than 10 years and doctors have been trained, there is still a great need for experienced specialists and adequate equipment.
To assess brain death at the local level, our doctors require more comprehensive training. We had to request equipment from 3 hospitals to assist Uông Bí Vietnam Sweden Hospital in completing resuscitation and brain death assessment procedures.
Vietnam ranks 4th out of 85 countries worldwide in terms of the difficulty of the brain death diagnosis process. There is a clear difference in Vietnam's approach to brain death diagnosis, especially in cerebral angiography.
The most challenging part is not diagnosing brain death, but advising on organ donation at the provincial level, as not all hospitals perform organ transplants.
Since provincial hospitals only diagnose brain death and do not perform transplants, we need to encourage and assist them.
After more than 10 years of implementing regulations on organ donation from brain-dead donors, Vietnam has only seen 154 cases. Meanwhile, the country experiences dozens of cases of brain death annually. The implementation of brain death diagnosis and assessment techniques by provincial hospital could increase the source of donated organs and treat many seriously ill patients.
Over the past weekend in Ho Chi Minh City, more than 400 tourism products and services from nearly 100 businesses were introduced to customers at preferential prices. The 4-day campaign generated over 140 billion Vietnamese dongs in revenue, a 33% increase from last year and a 20% increase from 2019 pre-COVID-19 pandemic. Given the positive outcome of this stimulus program, the Ho Chi Minh City Department of Tourism expects the peak of this year's summer tourism to contribute more than half to the goal of welcoming 6 million international and 38 million domestic visitors. This target was set at the beginning of the year. The city's total tourism revenue is projected to reach 190,000 billion Vietnamese dongs. Ho Islet has recently emerged as a must-visit destination for travelers to Cang Long District, Trà Vinh Province. Famous for unspoiled landscapes and rustic specialties, residents have made joint efforts to develop community-based tourism in the locality as they want to provide the most authentic experiences for tourists.
While exploring local culture and lifestyle, many tourists were blown away by a local food called Hidden Gem. Its name can trigger the curiosity of anyone traveling here for the first time. To cook Hidden Gem, locals often wrap chicken eggs in clay and grill them with straw. Tourists also have a chance to cook this dish if they want to.
I utilize whatever I grow in my garden as I want to offer the most authentic experiences for tourists. They can enjoy rustic dishes such as grilled eggs. There are 8 families running a homestay business. Each of them has a special dish to offer for tourists.
In the evening, when oil lamps were lit, everyone gathered to enjoy grilled eggs and fried bananas. Amid the loud calls of insects, they laughed together while immersing themselves in a homely and cozy atmosphere.
I felt touched when the oil lamps were lit, as they reminded me of the childhood memories of family gatherings. This is not a luxury tour at high-end resort, but I was impressed by locals' hospitality as I could immerse myself in the peaceful rural life.
During their trip to Ho Islet, tourists can pick and enjoy the taste of grapefruits in local gardens. Tourists can also learn how to make grapefruit jam and cook homemade meals. By chatting with host families and learning how things are done, tourists will get insights about hidden gems around the islet.
These days, the entire country is embracing the heroic spirit of the 70th anniversary of the Điện Biên Phủ victory, driven by strong patriotism and the principle of when the enemy comes to your home, even the women should fight. Tens of thousands of women overcame adversity to eagerly join the front lines. During the Điện Biên Phủ campaign, women contributed over 2.3 million work days, representing half of the total work days. Their significant participation in the battle contributed greatly to the nation's historic victory.
In late March 1954, Vietnamese soldiers managed to construct nearly 100 kilometers of trenches within just 10 days, closing in on the enemy base. Witnessing these historical moments was 24-year-old Đỗ Thị Vấn from Medical Treatment Team 3. She was in charge of logistics during the battles at Độc Lập Hill, Bản Kéo, Na Tấn, and Mường Phăng. To her, this oil lamp is a reminder of the nights she spent tending to injured soldiers.
Medical Treatment Team 3 was divided into 3 areas, depending on the patient's conditions. I was on the team, handling patients in critical situations. My teammates and I would provide milk and porridge for the wounded soldiers.
Along with Đỗ Thị Vấn, Đặng Thị Kiên also participated in the Điện Biên Phủ campaign. Despite being 90 years old, they still vividly recall those challenging days.
I remember wading through large streams to dig bamboo shoots. I found large ones to bring back to our wounded soldiers.
During the Điện Biên Phủ campaign, Medical Treatment Team 3 alone received, rescued, treated, and safely transported more than 2,000 wounded soldiers to the rear. Tens of thousands of women joined hands to build roads, transport food, medicine, and ammunition to the battlefield.
Our parents have taught us about the traditions of our family and generations of Điện Biên soldiers.
Through the stories told, we have learned about the greatness of the women who accompanied and contributed to the historic victory.
Despite their advanced age, these soldiers maintain the heroic spirit of their youth. They play an indispensable role in the monumental victory at Điện Biên Phủ.
Coming up next in our world news, Israel says date for ground attack on Rafah set. And crowds gather to watch the solar eclipse at Pennsylvania Monastery. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated on Monday that Israel had set the date for a ground offensive in Gaza's Rafah. However, he did not specify when the offensive would occur. This announcement was made when a new round of ceasefire negotiations in Gaza concluded in Egypt without any results. The United Nations and aid experts have warned that any military operation in Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, where approximately 1.4 million people are seeking refuge from combatants elsewhere, will exact a high toll on Gaza. Over 100 people died when a ferry boat sank off Mozambique's northern coast, President Filipe Nyusi announced on Monday, with nearly 20 others still unaccounted for. A representative from the country's Maritime Transport Institute revealed that the vessel, which carried 130 passengers, was an overloaded fishing boat not authorized for passenger transport. Early reports suggest a tidal wave struck the boat. The passengers were reportedly escaping a cholera outbreak. To date, 10 people have been rescued, but almost 20 remain missing. Hong Kong of China authorities have executed the city's largest ever gold smuggling bust, confiscating 146 kilograms of the metal disguised as machine parts. The discovery was made by customs officials while inspecting 2 air compressors scheduled for a cargo shipment to Japan in late March. The compressors aroused suspicion due to their unusual texture and weight. According to a government statement, both compressors were found to be filled with gold that had been molded and camouflaged into components such as screws, gears, and motor cores. The estimated worth of this smuggled gold is around $10.7 million. Crowds gathered at the Benedictine Monastery in Erie, Pennsylvania to watch the solar eclipse on Monday. The Benedictine Sisters of Erie held the viewing and offered free ISO-approved solar eclipse glasses for guests on the property. More in the following.
Clouds and rain hampered the eclipse watchers, but as the day progressed, the clouds got thinner and parted. By the time totality arrived, the sun's corona was not clearly defined, but the crowd enjoyed the spectacle nonetheless.
It really was miraculous that the sky cleared just before the eclipse started. The moon started moving over and we got to watch the whole thing. And when it went totally dark, to hear the whole crowd covering the grounds, the collective gasp, when it was just beautiful. It was really a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Suddenly, for about 3.5 to 4 minutes, we had total eclipse, and there appeared the solar corona around the sun. There was a light cover of clouds, so it wasn't quite as emotionally moving as what is described to you when you talk to people who have seen it themselves. But it was pretty darn good.
Erie, Pennsylvania was one of the North American cities along the path of totality, which is when the moon passes between the sun and earth, entirely covering the face of the sun along a small path of our planet's surface. The next total solar eclipse will occur on August 12, 2026, visible in Greenland, Iceland, Spain, Russia, and a small portion of Portugal, with a partial eclipse visible in Europe, Africa, North America, the Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTV Go from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.